L7, we're gonna solve polynomial equations, and what we're doing is we're finding our P's, our K's, G's, stuff like that. We're trying to figure out what do we square, then subtract 11 to get 0. That's our goal. Now to do that, if you don't have the middle, you know, P squared and then P and then negative 11, if you don't have the middle, then you can do this by square root. And how you would do that, you would add 11, because you want P squared by itself. And then do you remember how to get square away from P? You square root. But if you square root one side, you have to plus or minus the square root of the other side. And so this would be square root of 11 or negative square root of 11. Okay? Or you could have used the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula works every single time. And I'm going to do that on this one. I'm going to do it two ways. I'm going to do it the shortcut, or the simpler way. To get k squared, you add 2. Then you would divide by 4. So k equals plus or minus the square root of 2 over the square root of 4, which is, I don't want to put that, which is positive square root of 2 over 2, because the square root of 4 is 2, or negative square root of 2 over 2. So both of those would go in the box. But it says use the quadratic formula. If we use the quadratic formula, we need an A, which is 4, a B, which is 0, and a C, which is negative 2. X equals opposite B plus or minus square root B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. X equals the opposite of B. If B is 0 and take the opposite of it, it's still going to be 0 plus or minus square root B squared, which is 0, because 0 times 0 is 0, minus 4AC all over 2 times A, negative 8, positive 32. If you put the square root of 32 in the calculator, I'm thinking 4 squared root of 2 all over 8. So this is 0 plus 4 square root of 2 all over 8, and 0 minus 4 square root of 2 all over 8. If it's 0 plus, we don't need it. But the 4 and the 8 reduces. 4 over 8 reduces to 1/2, so it's the square root of 2 over 2, which is what I got right there. So this is negative square root of 2 over 2, because it's reduced 4 over 8. So since we don't have a middle, we don't have just a plain P, I'm going to do the same thing. So to be able to get P squared by itself, I'm going to subtract the 47 and get P squared equals negative 75. So P equals plus or minus the square root of negative 75. If you have a negative inside the square root, we're going to turn it into an I. And then if you put square root of 25 in the calculator, you would get 5 square root of 3 and then an I. So you can put 5I square root of 3, negative 5 square root of 3I, because remember the I can go into the back, so the I can go to the front. Alright, on this, it is not even in order. The G squared is not first, it's not equal to 0. We have an A and a B and a C. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in order. I like my G squared first, and I like it to be positive. then my negative 100, then I'm going to move the 96 over. Okay? You could do this a couple of ways. We could divide everything by 4 to be able to get smaller numbers. Okay. Yeah. Then we could factor it, if it's factorable. (24 times 1 is 24, 24 plus 1 is 25. And then to get my zeros, like you're going to do in L8, what would make this minus 24 to get 0? A positive 24. And to get what G would you subtract 1 from to be able to get 0? 1. So 24 and 1 would be your answer. Or you could use the quadratic formula. I'm not going to do that. It gets quite nasty. If you have really large numbers, you probably don't have to use the quadratic formula because it's probably going to be factorable or square rootable. It's in descending order, but I can see that 3 goes into all of them. So I'm going to divide everything by negative 3 just to get smaller numbers. Negative 9 divided by negative 3 is a positive 3. Now, I can tell you right now that this is factorable, so it'd be super easy to factor it and then get your zeros. But it does say use the quadratic formula on this, so let's use the quadratic formula. So A equals 1, B equals 3, and C equals 2. F equals opposite B plus or minus square root B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. F equals opposite of 3 plus or minus square root 3 squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2 times A. Negative 3 plus or minus 4 times 2 is 8. 9 minus 8 is 1. All over 2 times 1 is 2. Square root of 1 is 1. All over 2. Hence that became a nice, pretty number. Negative 3 plus 1. All over 2. And negative 3 minus 1. All over 2. Negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1. Negative 4 over 2, which is negative 2. Or F plus 2, F plus 1, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, so our zeros would be negative 2 and negative 1. There is a J in everything, so we have to take a J out first. We're going to keep the J. I'm going to see if it's factorable, because I know it is. Negative, positive, what multiples to get 48, subtracts to get 47, 48 and 1, but then we have to put the 12 back in. We have 3 J's, so we're going to have 3 answers. What makes this 0? 0. (48 over 12 reduces to 4. Since it's negative 4, it's going to be positive 4. 1 over 12 does not reduce since it's positive. Our answer is going to be negative. You don't want to start anything until it's already equal to 0. Bring a J out. j squared minus 25 is the difference of squares. So we keep the j that's already on the outside, j minus 5, j plus 5. So again, we're going to have 3 answers, which is 0, positive 5, and negative 5. Okay, you don't want to do anything until it's already equal to 0. The 44 is bigger than the 8, so I'm going to bring everything to the right. So 44 minus 8 is 36. I'm going to check my math real quick. So it equals 0. Now because I don't have a b, I'm going to use square roots. So I'm going to move the 11 over. So negative 11. I'm going to divide by 36. I'm going to plus or minus the square root of the negative 11 over the square root of 36. The negative on the inside goes to I. Square root of 36 is 6, and the square root of 11 doesn't do anything. So we have square root of 11, I over 6, and negative square root of 11, I over 6. Okay, this is a cube. So it's a difference of cubes. So if you will recall, in unit K, we factored cubes. And what is cubed is y, and what is cubed is 1. So y and 1, then we square the y, and we square the 1, and then we multiply the y and the 1 to get the middle. Whatever this sign is this sign, then we change it, and this one's always positive. To equal 0. This 0 is easy. It is 1, because 1 minus 1 is 0. This 0 is not so easy because it is not factorable, because 1 times 1 is 1, but 1 plus 1 is not 1. So we have to do A is 1, B is 1, C is 1. So y equals opposite b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Negative 1 plus or minus 1 times 1 is 1, minus 4 times 1 times 1 all over 2 times 1. One minus 4 would be negative 3 all over 2. That becomes an I, and it does not reduce. Just a second, I got to rationalize form. Okay, so what you're going to do, you're going to make a fraction, and this is for this box right here. It's negative 1, and it's plus square root of 3i all over 2. So I've taken care of the plus. Now we have to take care of the minus. So another fraction for this box, negative 1 minus square root of 3i over 2. That's it. Good luck.